Welcome to Commercial Real Estate Unfiltered, the podcast that takes the mystery out of commercial real estate and makes it accessible for everyone. I'm Caleb David, a broker, investor, and community builder with over a decade of experience helping businesses and individuals bring their visions to life. Here we break down the market, share expert insights, and talk about the opportunities that commercial real estate creates for businesses and communities alike. No fluff, no gatekeeping, just real, unfiltered conversations that empower you to navigate the space with confidence. So whether you're an investor, a business owner, or simply curious about commercial real estate, welcome. Let's dive in. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Caleb David with Commercial Real Estate Unfiltered. And today's guest, I think you're going to really want to hear from, especially if you're a broker newer to the business. We've got Henry Eisenstein with us. He's a dynamic commercial real estate broker. He's an investor and a coach with a proven record of high performance results. At just 30 years old, he built a network of over 40 plus agents all over the nation, closed over $800 million in real estate transactions, and manages a portfolio of over $15 million. And he serves clients in New Jersey and Florida, and he works across the United States to help investors, developers, and professionals achieve their goal. Henry, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, the first thing off the bat is, okay, you're at 30 years old, you're building a network of 40 agents around the country. Give us some insight there.
Yeah, the goal has always been have the biggest team in the country. For as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to have a team. I can tell you I've built and scaled a team up to a couple dozen agents a few times. I didn't have the right foundations a couple times. I built a team to about 15, about 5 or so years ago, right before COVID, mainly residential, and then transitioned about a half a decade ago into the commercial world, and we've been building ever since. So it's definitely not been easy, but to hit the numbers that we're trying to hit, we definitely need to have a team.
Absolutely. No, I hear that. And I think there's something about that team camaraderie too, right? And the being able to pull on each other and different expertises and personalities that definitely makes a difference. So let's talk about some prospecting lead generation. What are some strategies that deliver the best ROI for new client acquisition?
Yeah, our team's a big cold caller. We're huge on cold calling as a team. We make 300,000 to 400,000 cold calls a month.
Wow.
It's something that I teach agents to do. It's something that I've been a part of for the last decade in the real estate business. And I think that anyone who's trying to make money in the real estate business should definitely become somewhat proficient at prospecting over the phone. Even though I too was very scared at the very beginning of my career, I think that people are at a disadvantage in the industry if you do not know how to communicate and sell over the phone.
Yeah.
I sell hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate, and most of the time I don't even see the property. I don't meet the client face to face. A lot of what we do is over the phone. We do mainly off-market sales. Even if you're getting a referral from a friend, as an example, you still eventually have to call that friend and then sell them on the idea of doing business with you. So I think that people are forgetting that it might be a 60 or 80-year-old thing of using the phone when trying to sell over the phone. However, if you don't utilize it and don't know how to utilize it the right way, know what to say at the right time, tonality, use the right scripts, the right closes, I think you leave a lot of money on the table.
Yeah, and I noticed a lot, especially after COVID, when I would try to call places, people were a little bit more resistant. So have you found that to be the case, or do you find that the strategy you put in place disarm people?
I think that people have had apprehension to the phones, whether you're the person being called or doing the calling. I think there's apprehension on every side, and there has been for many decades, and I think there will be in the future. However, I do believe that it's like interesting how, quote, I don't want to say millennials today because I feel like I guess I'm a part of that group, but most people like to text, right? Like just the convenient thing. And texting is a form of communication. I just think what we teach a lot of is call first, right? You should pick up the phone first. And we as a team receive so much rejection. Obviously, when you're making hundreds of thousands of phone calls, rejection is a part of it.
Yeah.
But it is just like anything else. I think that it is somewhat of an expectation when you make that many calls that you're going to have a lot of people who are either upset with you or don't respond positively. But it doesn't mean the action doesn't work.
Yeah. So to talk to me a little bit about that, because I know that's really hard, especially for people that are newer in the business. There's a lot of ego that we've got to deal with, and rejection has a lot to do with speaking to our ego. So what are some things that you encourage newer agents that are taking on cold calling, making new prospects? What are some things that you just say to them to kind of help them overcome?
Yeah, so my very first mentor who told me to get on the phones, which by the way, I told her I'd rather open up a kiosk at the mall rather than making cold calls, which sounds hilarious now. But I too felt the same apprehension that a lot of people feel. And she taught me one thing. I didn't make any money with her, but the one thing she did teach me was go for no. And so my first week or two or three was really just going after and trying to get 10 no's a day. I
Yeah.
got through the kind of weird heebie-jeebie kind of feeling about making the calls. And then I just went for 15 and then it was 20. And then you get to the point where you're trying to get to 50 or 100 no's a day and it doesn't feel complicated anymore. You
Right.
get excited when they say yes and you feel excited when they say no because you're going for it.
I think that's a great mental strategy for sure. And so, with that said, and we've all been experiencing somewhat of a down market the last 2.5 years. So, how do you maintain that consistent lead flow during the market downturns?
Yeah, the cool thing about prospecting is that it works in any market. It's just a numbers game. So if hypothetically the market gets compressed by 50%, and you, let's just say for every 100 calls you make, you get one lead. You might just have to do twice the amount of calls to get the same result. So if
Yeah.
things compress by 50%, you have to make 2x the calls. If things
Yeah.
compress like now, they might be down 70%. You might have to make 3x the phone
Yeah.
calls. Our team can be fairly nimble. However, I think prospecting in general is one of those things where when things are really hard, you just need to outwork the competition. And when
Yeah.
things are really easy, if you stay even keel,
Yeah.
you don't let up on the gas too much, you can be incredibly fruitful.
Yeah, and I once had a mentor tell me when I first started in the business, he said, when you start making money, don't change your lifestyle. And I thought that was a really good point because then you remember when the downturns come. I think that I started in a market that was still pretty slow. So I remember some of the pain, right? It's a muscle memory I find now that we're going through another round of this, at least in commercial real estate. I know residential has been affected as well. But what are some other prospecting channels that you find to be able to find that high value client? Not just dollars wise, but they align value wise,
Sure.
etc. Are there other prospecting channels that you suggest?
Yes, we sell commercial. We do commercial only. And when you're prospecting for commercial, I think one of the big mistakes that people make is that they only prospect in their backyard. And I think this is actually very common for residential as well, where
Yeah.
people only prospect within a 20-minute radius. And one thing that I was proud of myself, and the reason why I was able to go in even in the residential business, by the age of 24, I was making over 600 grand a year
Mm.
because I just drove the whole state of New Jersey. I just said, I don't care where somebody lives. I'm
Yeah.
going to sell their house if they want to sell.
Yeah.
And I still have the same philosophy today. And that's what, a lot of what we teach, where we do it. I specialize in investment sales. If it makes money, I sell it. So
Yep.
we have sold almost every single different type of asset you could possibly imagine. If it makes money, we sell it.
Yep.
And from hotels to car washes, gas stations, shopping centers, industrial warehouses, self-storage facilities, multifamily apartment complexes, you name it, any size in honestly every state. So we have the ability where we have very well-rounded scope of what we can sell,
Mm.
and there's an abundance of it.
Yeah.
Now, the other piece of, or let me say it differently. The one mistake that I also feel like people make is that let's just say they start prospecting all over. The problem is that they're also prospecting too small of a price point where it's very hard to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
It is so difficult in the real estate business to make $1 million a year, let alone even half a million, or to even make 250, 300, or 500 grand. To make a couple hundred grand is not an easy feat, right? But it's
Correct.
infinitely harder when you're prospecting $300,000 properties.
Right.
But there's so many people around the country where they feel confined to the price point because of location.
Right.
So what I believe is, okay, if we could just say, hey, I'm licensed in any X state, I might as well prospect
Yeah.
to the specific type of product that allows me to live the lifestyle I desire without having to work 300 hours a week. So when you do pivot and you do prospect in certain markets or specific asset classes, be specific. I ran the numbers. If I want to
Yeah.
net 10 million a year, which is my goal,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
I want to make 10 million a year, and that's after I pay my team.
Yeah.
So that means to do quick math, it's okay. I need to net out $100,000 on 100 transactions a year. Now in
Yeah.
commercial, a $300,000 deal at 5% is 150 grand.
Right.
So for us, I run the numbers. We have to do roughly, call it, I think it came to roughly 3.5 million. This is the quick numbers, right? On a calculator, I pay out my team 50%,
Mm.
right? So 200,000 bucks divided by an average of 5% commission, that's a $4 million deal.
Yeah.
So if we do 100 transactions at $4 million, I pay my team out
Yeah.
50% and I collect 100.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yep.
if I do that 100 times, I make $10 million. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, I have other overheads and other things that I have to pay
Sure.
for. That's the number. So it's okay, I need to target $4 million property. So if I'm targeting a neighborhood or an asset type in a specific area that doesn't map to that,
Mm,
I'm wasting time.
yeah. Yeah. And I know that time is so valuable. And obviously, to get a few of those deals under your belt, you got to have some practice on some of the smaller deals. But
Sure.
what do you say to
Sure.
somebody that maybe has only done like $1 million deal and they need to make a jump to a $5 million deal? Is there a mindset change there, or a mindset difference there, I should say, that you would suggest they take on?
Yeah, I'm actually working on a deal right now for over 3 billion.
Wow.
And I can tell you that this is by far, even by adding an additional like zero, like I've never done a transaction of
Yeah.
that size, and maybe it'll close, maybe it won't, who knows? But what I've learned by doing multiple different price points throughout my career, and by the way, like the first property I ever sold, I think was like 190 grand.
Yeah.
Okay. And a lot of what I sold for a while was sub $500,000 property.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't until the last half decade that I really started focusing on better product, and it changed my life forever. And what I found is that going from 1 million to 5 million, or 5 to 50, or 5 to 500, or whatever it is, you're going to realize a few things. One, they're not drastically different than the person before,
Yeah.
not drastically.
Yeah.
However, they do get more specific in in what they want
Mm,
and how they want it.
yeah.
Okay. The level of communication needs to be higher. The level of expectation needs to be higher. There are just, you need to clean up your act
Mm,
as you go up the rungs, because those people expect a slightly better, not only result,
yeah.
but the way that the result is handled needs to be a little bit more polished each
Yeah.
and every single time.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that people just get overly, I'll even say this, there's a second half of the coin here, which is, I don't believe everyone needs to sell 50 or $500 million properties. I've had people who come to me and they go, "Hey, like I want to start selling multi-$100 million deals because I want to make millions of dollars a year." But let me tell you, there's probably a couple dozen of those transactions every year. So
Mm,
unless you're one of those couple dozen, when by the way, they're most of the time major hedge funds, major groups,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
Who are doing those deals, and they already have their people. So where do
Right.
you feel like you're going to fit into this,
Right.
very
Exactly.
tight knit puzzle?
Yep.
And they don't think about that.
Mm,
Where, like you had said, you like starting at 1 million or 2 million or 5 million, where there's an abundance of $5 million transactions that happen in
yeah.
almost every market around the country. Why not just sell those? And that's
Yeah.
what we want to focus on. We specialize. We like, and again, I just closed out a deal that was under $1 million. Like it's fine, and we'll do that.
Yeah.
We do roughly 500,000 to 20 million. Most of the
Okay.
time, it lands between the 3 and 8 range,
Yeah.
but that's our block.
Yeah. What are some common mistakes that you see that agents that are trying to make that transition to what are some of the things that they could clean up a little bit?
Mm.
Obviously, communication. Are there any other points that you have identified?
Yeah, so again, specifically talking about commercial, okay, they want good off-market deals,
Yeah.
okay? And they
Yeah.
want to know that you know what the heck you're talking about,
Yeah.
okay? Because and they also don't want to be daisy chained. So let me talk about each piece of this,
Yeah.
okay? One, they want good off-market deals. What does that mean? If you are sending them anything from LoopNet or listed by another broker,
Yeah.
you're not providing any value.
Right.
There is a zero in the value column of
Yeah.
what you're providing for this
Because
person.
they can see that information themselves.
100%. It's just like, I don't need you to do that.
Yeah.
That's not what I would like. There's no reason for you, ex agent, to be involved in the transaction if you're just going to bring me something that's listed on the market.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Next, they want it to be a good deal. So let's say it is off the market. Now they want it to be a good opportunity. Okay. You need to decipher if it's a good opportunity. Because if you're just sending them a bunch of random garbage that's off
Yeah.
market, anybody can do that. They
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah.
Right. The difficult piece is to find good opportunities that are off market. And
Yeah.
then the last piece is they don't want to be daisy chained. Another mistake that people make is that they have a wholesaler friend, they have
Mm,
another broker friend, maybe like me, where I'm good at finding deals off market,
yeah.
direct to seller, and they haven't built that skill set yet. So they rely on people like me to
Yeah.
find deals to send to them who they can send to their clients, so they
Right.
can wiggle
Kind of
their
sneak
way in
in.
there.
Yeah.
And the problem, what happens now, is that that end buyer might like the deal, but
Yeah.
you as the individual have no control. So when I know our biggest philosophy in 99% of the transactions that we close, we are direct to seller and direct to buyer on each deal,
Hmm.
which allows us control and also allows us to make the most money possible in every transaction.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So, what are some other common mistakes that agents make when they're working with investor clients?
Okay, I'll start off with saying my biggest pet peeve, okay, is when an individual, like a newer agent, is working with an investor they don't know anything about the property. Okay. Because
Yeah.
think about it, if you're an investor, okay,
Yeah.
we want to go buy a property together. You and I are partners. And an agent brings us a property and they go and they send us an address and a
Yeah.
little bit of detail. They say it's a 20-unit apartment deal in X area. And then we go, okay, can we see the financials? And they're
Yeah.
like, I didn't get the financials yet.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't make a decision yet.
Yeah.
It's might as well gather as much of the information as possible before going to an investor
Yeah.
so that you don't look silly.
Yeah.
You got to imagine what they're going to ask you. They're going to
Yeah.
ask you a couple key questions, and you might as well have those answered before
Yeah.
you even go to this person. So they have enough information to make a decision on that first phone call.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when we call up an investor, we have enough information to get an offer at least 95% of the time.
Wow.
Now we have some VIPs that we specifically will bring. They'll be, if a seller gives me a price they're willing to sell for and enough information without even sending me financials that I can tell that this deal makes a lot of sense because it's very much below market rent or very much below market rate. Okay. If I can tell that, I don't need a rent roll. I don't need financials. But most of the time brokers bring terrible deals to the table. They're like, hey, like here's a 20,000 square foot retail building. Like again, one of our an agent that I know sent me a deal today. And it's a 10,000 square foot property, and they want $6 million for it. It's $600 a foot. And it's like, nobody on planet Earth can make sense of buying that deal. And it took me 15 seconds of reading it to know that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's too many people are just like, oh, but this could be a good opportunity because I'm direct to seller. And I have enough information. I have the financials and everything. But just understand it within 2 seconds. Like,
that deal doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
absolutely. Definitely, those are some things that need to be cleaned up. The education of yourself before you try to go educate an investor to try to put a deal together.
for sure.
One of the thoughts that I was just coming across my mind is, and I find this for almost any listing, to be ready when the time comes. And I think that means time invested and the research that's done and understanding what your client's goals are. But what are some of the things that make a deal a good deal in your mind?
And even before I want to say this, the problem also is that people are speaking to the wrong buyer a lot of the time. Okay. And they speak to this individual who's a first-time investor.
Yeah.
And they rely on this one person to hopefully buy the deal.
Yeah.
And if they don't buy it, we don't eat.
Right.
So it's like you must focus on finding a good quality deal, which we can describe now, and speaking to and finding the right buyer for the deal. Because it doesn't mean that just because Bob doesn't want it doesn't mean the deal sucks.
Right.
Bob just might be a shopping center buyer and you're bringing him industrial or multifamily.
Yep.
So when you're specifically looking for a deal, I like to look for the following few things. Okay.
Yep.
Number one, and most importantly, I like to make sure it's below basis. Okay. If the price per square foot in a certain market is $150 a foot, I want to be at 100 a foot.
Yep.
If it's 150 grand a unit, I want to be at 100 grand a unit. I want to be below basis comfortably.
Yep.
Okay. That's number one. Number two, ideally, we want to be cash flow positive day one.
Yep.
So if we're buying a property, cash flow positive day one and below basis, it's pretty difficult to lose money.
Yeah.
Okay. And we really don't need to go much more into the deal.
Yeah.
Like below basis, cash flows today. And the last thing is also a clear, simple, way of increasing the value.
Yeah.
Okay. Where you just got to renovate some units.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of a vacancy. I got to fill it.
Yeah.
I don't like stuff that it needs to have. There's this parking lot and you could develop the parking lot into X.
Right.
No, I just want to know that I can, if I'm buying it below basis, cash flows day one, and all I have to do is fill a vacancy or renovate some units and charge a little bit more money. And I can make some serious income. There's plenty of those opportunities out there. And those are the easiest ones to sell.
Yeah. Makes sense. I'm going to shift gears a little bit right now because in talking about building teams and systems and processes, how do you recruit and retain top producing team members?
Okay. So for recruiting, I always struggled with this piece.
Yeah.
For a long time. And then I realized was that I might sell a lot of real estate, but nobody knows who I am. So I needed to build a brand. So many years ago, I started building my brand, and now we have over 60,000 followers across all the platforms, and we're continuing to grow that. And it's where our coaching community grew from and everything else. So now what we have now is this top of the funnel with our brand, where now we have awareness in the market of who I am and what we do.
Yeah.
Right? So if people don't know who you are, it's kind of hard to buy from you.
Yeah.
So number one is you got to get known. So build a brand, right?
Yeah.
That's what we've done and we continue to work on all the time. Okay. And then from there, once you have the attention of people who want to reach out and work with you, I want to be clear. The mistake people make when it comes to recruiting is that they recruit body. They recruit people with a pulse,
Yep.
right? And that only gets you so far. Just because if you're recruiting people who just got their license,
Yeah.
if you're recruiting people who don't really have any blood, sweat, and tears in the industry, and maybe they have a full-time job,
Yeah.
or they're 20 years old, you're going to struggle in growing because you're going to now take your time. Like again, I'm a 7-figure commercial real estate broker.
Yeah.
Myself, not just my team. If I take my time away from my own production, I'm going to lose money. Now, I will do that when it means I'm building up people in my team because they're long-term thinkers. Right. There's a lot of, and I could dive into that in a second. But if I'm doing that for somebody who's working a full-time job and they've never sold a piece of real estate in their life, and I'm educating them on what a contract means, it's not that good of a use of my time. But however, a lot of people go from, I'm making 200-300 grand a year, I'm going to go hire a junior agent.
Yeah.
Right. And then who's never sold real estate before. And now I stop earning 200-300 grand a year because I got to help Sally or Steve, who's never sold real estate before, to sell real estate.
Yep.
So do not, if you're hiring a team and you want to build a team, do not bring on people who've never sold real estate before. You want them to be your second choice.
Okay.
Right. Go fail somewhere else.
Yep.
Go sell a property 2 or 3 with somebody else and then come to me.
Yeah.
So I look for specifically people who can show me proof that they've sold over $100,000 a year in the last 12 months.
Okay.
Okay. Which in commercial real estate could be 1 or 2 transactions. I need to sell a lot of real estate, but consistently have sold over $100,000 a year.
Yep.
Okay. Number 2 is that they have a long-term mindset. And I say, how long do you plan on being in this industry? What's your vision look like for this industry? And I want to hear that they say 10, 20, 30 years.
Yep.
You're like, oh yeah, I'm probably going to do this for another 5 years. You're not for me.
Right.
Not for me.
Because it takes what, 3 to 5 years to, if you're full-time in the industry, to really get your hands around and your mind around commercial real estate in the market.
I've been doing this a decade.
Yeah.
And I plan on doing this for another 4 decades. If God gives it to me.
Yeah.
So I love this industry and I know it's possible if you can stay consistent.
Yeah.
And I just like when you only want to do this for a couple of years, you're not for me.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So if you've had the track record of selling properties before, you have a long-term mindset and you're coachable. Tell me about experiences in your life that you've been coachable and or have hired a coach and tell me about the experience and how did it go. I can help those people.
Yep. Yeah.
And we do. Like I have a 23-year-old kid, and I'm not saying don't bring on young people because I have a 23-year-old kid on our team. In the last 30 days, he's put 4 deals under contract for over $300K in GCI in 30 days.
Wow.
It's like, it's crazy what can happen when you have the right systems and processes in place, but he is incredibly coachable, works like a dog. And it's like, when you're coachable and you follow a proven plan and you have crazy work ethic, anything's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing you just touched on is systems and how important. I've been independent. I've recently joined Keller Williams as a commercial director for them. But for me, even just to go back and be, like you said, be coachable and learn that there are systems in place that can actually help you build your business. And it leads into my next kind of tie-in question is the importance of that personal relationship and those touches with people. For me, it's shifting from, oh, I know I've got a database somewhere where all this goes, but if you're not doing anything with it, you're not making touches, you're not front and center of people's minds. And so I know that leveraging systems to scale is really important. So maybe talk about some of the systems that you like to employ.
Sure. Most people don't realize that in this business, that most of the time when you speak to somebody, the odds of you doing business with them on one conversation is near zero.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to speak to this person several times in order to close out a transaction.
Yeah.
So our intention is, okay, on average, it will take a minimum 12 touches for us to do something together. So it's how fast can I get to 12 touches? Number one. How fast? It's not 1, it's not 5, it's 12. How fast can I get to 12 minimum touches with this individual?
Yeah.
And this does not mean like sending this person 12 spam text messages. This is like, how can I provide value on 12 separate occasions in this person's life with as fast as humanly possible? And you can do that through automations, newsletters, like automatic text messages, ringless voicemails, everything. There's so much technology that you can use today. We utilize just about all of that, where the second we get a new lead in our system. So just to break this down, we pull a lead list, we prospect the lead list. We get somebody on the phone and they say that they're interested in selling, and we gather information on that first call. Yeah. Okay. Most brokers will try to set up an appointment. Okay. Which in my opinion, honestly, I think is the wrong move.
I agree
because
with that.
I don't think you know enough in order to go meet with this person in order to make some type of decision, because most of the time people waste time by going on that first appointment.
Yeah.
Okay. What we do is that we gather all this information on that first call. hopefully enough information, 80-ish% of the time we gather enough information in order to make some type of underwriting evaluation on the property. And then our team, so me specifically, I give them a number. I make an offer personally to buy every property we find.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why we do this is that now my agent now takes that offer because we've underwritten it. We know what it's worth. We know what we can sell it for.
Yeah.
Okay. And we go make an offer on this property. Which is a checkpoint of providing value to this individual. Most brokers are going to try to set an appointment. Let me list your property for sale.
Yeah.
Within 24 hours, we already have our first offer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Proves to you that we already have the buyers. We know what we're doing. Offer might not be unbelievable price point, but we have an offer.
Yeah.
So we present that offer and we get now immediate feedback from this individual. But it shows us, again, it shows them that we know what we're doing in this marketplace.
Yeah.
Okay. We get feedback from that seller. And now based off of their feedback, we can choose to then set up an appointment or not if we want to.
Yeah.
Possibly listed for sale as an option. But most of the time what ends up happening is that if we get a price in which we know we can sell it, we immediately bring it to our top VIP buyers. Within the first 3 to 7 days, we already have a tour, if not set up, we've already been on 2 or 3 or 4 tours at this property and have given them 2 or 3 offers.
Yep.
Okay. So that's within the first 7 days.
Yeah.
Where someone's still trying to set up their first listing appointment with this person. Right. So now we've gone so above and beyond within the first 3 to 7 days. We also have so much information on the likelihood of transacting. Yeah. Okay. Yep. And we know that there are some times, I would even say the majority of the time, they give us a price that's way too much money. Yep. Okay. We make an offer and they're absolutely not willing to budge off of this astronomical number. Yep. And what happens is that most brokers will then just try to list it at this astronomical number and hoping and praying they get buyers from it. Okay. But the problem is that you look stupid. Yeah. You look like you're incompetent when you take incredibly overpriced listings. Yep. And then guess what? All you're going to get phone call wise is not actual buyers. You're going to get brokers who say, hey, your property's overpriced. Yeah. Hey, Bob, I know. Right. So it's the worst recipe you could possibly imagine, which is why we've learned to just keep a majority of the deals off market. Yeah. And for at least the ones that we know we can transact on. Yeah. And of course, we take a listing here and there. It's not very common. Sure. We have, I don't know, 50 or 70 million dollars worth of listings right now, but it's not the majority of our deals that we sell.
Yeah. So how would you suggest somebody find an off-market property and start putting that deal together? What does that process look like?
We have a half a dozen different softwares that we pull from, ranging from CoStar, Reonomy, Crexi, PropStream, and a handful of others as well, where we gather large aggregates of information. We skip trace it, and then we prospect that information. Yep. We also cold text those people. So whoever we don't get on the phone with, we'll immediately cold text them and send them cold and like ringless voicemails, as well as put them on email newsletter campaigns. Okay. So there's a lot of outbound going on. Yeah. So about 300,000 to 400,000 cold calls. We do about 100,000 cold text messages and about 100,000 cold emails a month. Okay. Yeah. So all of that goes out. We then gather leads from from doing that outbound. Yeah. Okay. When we gather that lead on the phone, anyone can go on anyone on my YouTube channel, anywhere on social media, you can download my free script book, and we literally just read the script book. Okay. Multiple different asset classes on there. It gives you my opening lines, all the questions to ask, everything. And we gather as much information as possible from this individual so that we can then come back and then underwrite it. My coaching community, we talk about every one of these things as well, where we talk about how to find the lead, how to underwrite it, how to build a team, all this type of stuff. I have my profit or expansion accelerators that we basically teach people how to do all this type of stuff. But specifically, once you now underwrite the property, after you gather all the information, we just want to know, is there a clear path to transacting with this individual? Yeah. Yeah. That's it. And we try to do this immediately. Yeah. Because the faster we can understand, because too many people, I mean, I'm sure you see this all the time like I do, newer agents will get starry-eyed with every lead they speak to. Yeah. Every lead. Yeah. I just had a 21-year-old kid during one of our team calls, and he's like, hey, I just got a new lead. Great. We go through it. The guy wants $34 million. Yeah. Okay. Same guy last month found another deal for 160 million. Wow. Okay. Now, the $160 million lead, we underwrote it, and we felt like it was only worth somewhere between 100 and 110 million. Okay. We called up 3 of the best buyers in that marketplace, and every single one of them made an offer between 100 and 110 million. Okay. When we called them up, the guy had a loan for $100 million that he didn't tell us about. So but everyone gets so starry-eyed thinking like, oh my God, this is my ticket to financial freedom. Yeah. Yeah. You're never going to retire from one deal, and we've made multiple 6 figures on a lot of deals. Yeah. Yep. So it's like you can't get starry-eyed in this stuff.
Yes. realistic expectation, I think, is huge. And I think having someone who mentors you to kind of walk you through what things could potentially happen.
Yeah,
Because I was that same way when I started. It was like, oh, I got this lead, I got this. Next thing I know, I'm touring somebody for 6 to 8 months for a single office, and I made $21. And it's like, I needed to learn the market, but maybe
sure.
there was probably a better way to do it.
For sure.
And
For sure, a better way.
and I feel like you provide a lot of those tools to brokers, and I've got so many other things I feel like we could talk about, but I want to end on your coaching, what you provide, and then how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah. What I feel like people need to hear right now is it is totally understandable, and you're not alone in the fact that there are so many people who are struggling to earn multiple six figures in this industry. So many people are stuck at 150, 200, 250, $300,000. There are so many people stuck in that
Yeah,
realm. However, with a few small tweaks,
yeah,
okay, and following processes that we've built out that have earned our coaching students hundreds of thousands of dollars in commission checks every single year, millions in aggregate.
yeah,
If you just follow them, they work.
yeah,
The coolest, look, guys, I'm a two-time college dropout. If this was a rocket science type of thing where you had to be super smart and know all these types of things, I would not be as successful as I am. It'd be impossible. I
yeah.
wouldn't be. It is a dinosaur-like industry. You
Mhm.
follow some proven systems that have worked for decades, you will just make more money by default.
Yeah, yeah,
All people have to do is reach out or follow me on Instagram. Really simply, follow me on Instagram and follow my YouTube channel. Reach out. There's a couple of booking links, which I'm sure will be in the description
yep.
down below or somewhere here. You guys can book a call with my team. We'll see if you're a good fit. And I can tell you that the people who go through our program and show up and play full out within their first 90 days of being with us are earning their first $100,000 commission check.
That's
Right?
amazing.
And that's what we're here for.
Yeah,
Because it does not have to be hard.
right.
And if you don't have the right guidance and you focus on the right things, it's hard.
Yeah. Absolutely. Man, thank you so much for dropping a lot of wisdom on us, a lot of insight. And I really hope people will go reach out to you, book some meetings. And we really appreciate the time and expertise that you've given to us and all the wisdom that comes with it. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Bet. That's a wrap on this episode of Commercial Real Estate Unfiltered. I hope you found value in today's conversation and feel more confident about navigating the world of commercial real estate. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with somebody who could benefit from these insights. You can connect with me, Caleb David, and the team at David Commercial Real Estate. Just check the show notes for more information. Thanks for listening, and remember, creating space is more than just real estate. It's about building community. See you next time.